Welcome to the Fixer interview series. I'm Justin Struble with BSG Advisors. I'm here with George Harvey. He is a Divorce Financial Analyst with Divorce Financial Services. Welcome, George.
Thank you, Justin, for having me.
Thank you. We got a few questions. We're trying to figure out exactly what you do and how you help people. So if you can kind of explain, I know you've got a designation.
Right.
What is that? And
Okay.
what does it give you?
So I'm a certified divorce financial analyst. I've been specifically trying to help people thinking of going through divorce make sense of the numbers. That's half the battle, is describe the numbers, and money plays a big factor in going through a divorce, or one of the causes of divorce.
So what's the designation?
CDFA, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst.
CDFA. And so this is for people who are, they should contact you if they're thinking about getting divorced, or maybe they've already reached out to a divorce attorney.
Right.
And okay, so you help them with the numbers.
Help with the numbers. So attorneys are trained in the law. I'm trained in finance to help with the financial issues that might arise going through divorce or contemplating divorce. Sometimes it might be budgeting you have issues with, and if I can save a marriage, it's a whole lot cheaper in the long run. Also partnering with mental health professionals such as a marriage counselor also help with the emotional side of divorce.
Okay. So you kind of bring in that financial aspect, and you can be unbiased middleman.
Right.
Or can you be hired by one person?
Yes, I can be hired by one of the parties going through divorce, or I can work with couples. I'm also trained in a collaborative divorce, which is a non-litigation, another alternative to getting divorced. Okay. There are other ways besides litigating. People think litigating comes to mind, but there's mediation, collaborative divorce, other resolutions to dissolving a marriage.
So basically, you're agreeing to disagree in your marriage. You say, you know what, this has been a mistake for whatever reason. We want to go our separate ways. We want to do what's fair and right. And you can basically come in and say, here's the fair split of the assets and any alimony or child support that's needed, and basically lay out the numbers.
Yes.
And be that middleman between the two parties, so it's not hey, I got my attorney and you got your attorney and we're going to battle and negotiate. Right. You can kind of have it as a more joint agreement where, all right, let's balance the priorities as one number, so to speak.
Right, and looking at the big picture, and life goes on after divorce. People get caught up in the emotions, but long term, this is a short blimp in overall life. You've been married, it could be a short or long period of time, but once the divorce is over with, you want to move on with your life and aspire to other goals and dreams that you have that might have been holding you back during the divorce process or during the divorce.
Okay. So now, if somebody's getting divorced or thinking about it, but they don't trust their spouse to bring all the numbers to the table, maybe they got a cash business or something where they're not reporting it on their taxes,
right?
And the spouse that's wanting the divorce or reaching out to you, what's that called, and how do you help? When you work for one party, what's that called? You're basically doing
asset discovery. You're looking at forensically where money might have been hidden or not fully disclosed. Private investigators, computer forensics also play a factor in acquiring the data sometimes, and then I can make sense and sort through the data and say, this account was left off. It might have been accidentally, might have been on purpose, but it's uncovering something that people might not be aware of.
Okay, so in that case, you're actually hired by somebody who says, I need you to go figure out where this money is going, and you may get the PI, you may get somebody else involved. And at the end of the day, hopefully you've discovered all these accounts that hopefully are there, have money that now say, hey, there's real money that needs to be splitted equitably, and not something he or she can hide or jump under the table.
You mentioned businesses. Sometimes businesses have a lot of cash and they might be writing a lot of deductions or other expenses that might not be pertinent to the business, just so they can show less income, less cash flow in the business, less profit. And you kind of have to add some of those numbers back in to get a true realistic cash flow of the business or what the business might be worth.
Okay. So now, if a couple is getting divorced, maybe they have kids, there's a splitting of the assets.
Right.
But there's also oftentimes an alimony check or even child support.
Right.
What's changed with that? I know some of it's deductible, what's not deductible.
So before the Tax Jobs Act, I think in 2017 or 18, it used to be able, if you were paying alimony, you used to be able to deduct it from your taxes, and the other party receiving alimony added it back. That has now changed, and I think it's to 2025, where it's just a wash. Kind of like child support, you don't deduct or add back. the same with alimony occurs now until, the law changes again.
So let me get this right. If I'm the high income earner in this divorce, and in the past, if I was paying whatever $2,000 a month of alimony, now in the past I would have been able to deduct that as an expense,
Right.
and so it wouldn't have affected my taxes. It was an expense before taxes. Now it's not deductible,
It's not deductible.
and so therefore I get taxed on my full income, even though I have this necessary and legally binding requirement to pay.
Right.
And child support is deductible, is not deductible.
It's not deductible.
So it's never been deductible.
As far as I know, unless the law changed, but it's never been deductible as far as I've been doing this.
And so yeah, makes sense because a married couple can't deduct the expenses for their kids.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've always had it where you pay, the higher income earner typically pays child support till the children are 18.
Right.
And then the alimony check is basically to help out that lower income earner, provide for that
Get back
half
on
of the
that feet.
household.
Yes.
Is that usually for a certain number of years, or can that be indefinitely?
It can
or
be
how do you
indefinitely.
see
It can be for a certain number of years. It might not get any, depending on the circumstances, and also depends on how long the marriage is. It could be a very short marriage. Alimony might not be called for in that situation. It could be a very long marriage. It just depends on. You have to look at the big picture and different factors.
So I imagine that's something in those conversations with a couple up front, to understand the priorities, and obviously their age may play into it a lot.
Right.
If you have a 60-year-old couple getting divorced, you might need or want alimony checks indefinitely, like a retirement income.
Right.
But if it's a 30-year-old couple that just got married last year, maybe it's an alimony check for a couple years while that lower income earner
It's getting
gets
back
a
on their feet
degree
again.
or gets into something that they, yeah, I got you. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so you basically can run the numbers and say, okay, we're looking for something we're looking for the right number that will pay out for X number of years or lifetime or
Right.
whatever. And then that goes into your calculation when you say, okay, here's what it looks like the right financial numbers.
Right, but people have to have another place to live. A lot of times, in North Carolina, you have to be separated from your spouse for over a year, and that's different than a lot of states. Other states can be done in 3 months. So people have to take into consideration, you have two different households off the same amount of money that was coming in before. So people really have to plan and budget and think through that, since it's different here in the South.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been great. I'm learning stuff every day. What who do you see when should somebody call you, and who do you typically get your best referrals from? Who should be thinking
So
of
good
referring?
referral sources for me are a family law attorney,
Okay.
a mental health professional such as a marriage counselor. They see people right in the midst of it, and if sometimes it's finance, it's getting stuck. So maybe meeting with those people, or we want to have a non-litigating, or smoothest processes can be.
Yeah.
Those are good referral sources. People thinking of divorce, you're contemplating with the divorce, are good to have a conversation with. And a lot of times people don't think through, and it's let's think through the process. Let's come up with a game plan and work the game plan, and come up with a resolution. And looking at the numbers, it makes sense for everyone.
So basically, when somebody says, you know what, I need to start figuring out my options for divorce,
Right.
it's worth a call and have a conversation with you at that point to say, what could that look like? And you can obviously, everybody's cost, I'm sure, is different when they
Right.
hire you. So just start having those conversations.
Right. And then referral to different attorneys. I can send many different family law attorneys, because I like people to have choices, because you want it to be a good fit. They're going to be working together for at least a year, maybe longer, and you want it to be a good fit for my client or potential client and the attorney I send them to.
Because you have to be separated for a year, and so that's why it's at least a 1 year process.
Yes.
I got you.
So, other states are shorter, as I mentioned, but here it's a year process, and
Okay.
it's a cooling off period.
Well, great. Thank you for joining us on the Fixer interview series. I've been here with George Harvey. He is a Divorce Financial Analyst. I'm Justin Struble with BSG Advisors, and I'm not a broker, I'm a fixer.